Welcome to Seed and Stone Musings. I'm Joseph McCaffrey. Thanks so much for listening this week. I was reminded this week of a story that I heard reading years ago when I started moving out onto the land and sitting in a specific spot every day and opening myself up to the beings there and the animals and the trees and the grasses and the landscape. This spot that's set just east of these iconic fountain formation that sits west of Boulder, Colorado. Actually, it was southwest of Boulder, Colorado, where I was so blessed to be invited by this spot to come and sit pretty much daily. And I was at the same time reading Tom Brown Jr., the tracker, and really getting into his work and John Young's work and learning the plants and the animals on the land. And I had remember reading this in the tracker, John Young speaking of his teacher Stalking Wolf, saying that us Westerners have forgot how to walk in the world. And that hit me on so many levels as I was noticing how loud I was walking across the landscape and how much in my life I was loud and destructive in the way that I walked in the world, whether it was the way I ate or the way I consumed or the way I spent my money or the way I just was. And it hit me in this way, and at the same time I'm sitting on the land daily, and these mule deer would come and visit me, and I could almost feel, not almost, but I had this somatic experience of the way in which the deer walked on the land. How beautiful and elegant their steps were, and how it seemed that they could feel and read the energy with their hooves come through their body as they moved across the landscape. And how little impact each step they took on the earth was. And the deer became such a great teacher in this way for me. And this time of my life also came with great crisis. I was in a huge life crisis. Things seemed to unravel everywhere around me. My work in the way that I was a middle school teacher fell apart. Relationships, friendships, all were falling apart. It was this crisis, and it seemed to mirror so perfectly right now what's happening in the world, where it seems that everything around us is in crisis. Our government, our education system, the natural world, beings are leaving us, it feels like daily. And so what is it that we can do during these times where often we feel overwhelmed, or we feel like we need to fight back and kind of engage in the war to stop the destruction? And I wonder if it's what we need to do is to listen to the voice, that quiet voice that's calling us to live or walk differently in the world, more in alignment with the earth itself. If that way of slowing down, of really listening, and cultivating this new gate, the way in which we walk into the world, could be the biggest act, the biggest movement we could take. And I want to give the gravity of that, because I think that it would ask us to step out of the way that we're living and into a deeper way, which is not an easy or comfortable process. But I do want to share with you this poem that came through that is about this conversation, is about that step into across the threshold of walking in a different way into the world. And it's called A River Runs Through Your Heart. There is a river that runs through your heart. There is a river that runs through your heart. Do you hear the rushing water calling you home? there is a river. There is a river rushing through your heart. Do you hear the rushing water calling you home? Others will try to convince you that nothing is happening. Yet you know there is something more to this world. You can no longer ignore that subtle voice that speaks amongst the clockwork of your life. There is a place amongst all things awaiting your arrival. Your crooked trail through red rock canyons and musty deserts trembles for your presence. Your crooked trail through red rock canyons and musty deserts tremble for your presence. Come alive into this place. Come alive into this place. Is this not why you are here? To follow that trail into fully living? For more Seed and Stone musings, visit seedandstone.org.